Greetings one and all, and welcome to another Datacron review. We're looking at set 13. This has Empire, Mandalorians, and Rebel Fighters. I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly in this set, starting with stats, moving through alignment bonuses, faction, and then character bonuses divided by faction. I do think overall this is a pretty strong Datacron set. And a couple just overall attributes I think are good are that it is a double faction set. I hate the single faction set or single alignment sets where it's all dark side or all light side. And there are only 3 factions, and then each faction only has 5 abilities. We've seen, I think the last time we had just 3 factions, they had all 7 abilities. That could be wrong, but set 9 was like that. Sometimes we have 4 factions, so there's 20 different faction abilities you could be rolling for. So it helps you target down the ones you actually want, makes them a little bit more likely to get. So with all of that in mind, let's look at all the breakdowns. Starting with stats, let's look at the good stats. We have tenacity, and I'm showing the bonus for level 7 to 8, so the highest one, and then the level 4 to 5, and then 1 and 2 will be lower amounts. So tenacity, I think, is strongest good stat, and then potency is good, and crit avoidance is good. These numbers have not been nerfed since prior iterations of them in Datacrons. I don't know why they have the shield sign next to tenacity. That makes me wonder if they coded it wrong, if it's actually armor or something, like, because it's supposed to have that fist. I don't know. I don't get it. But they're very strong. We haven't seen tenacity and potency since set 7. So there's been 6 sets since we had that. Very strong, very good. Just covers a multitude of shortcomings on an entire roster in one go. You could have a full tenacity cron or a full potency cron. I'd probably say just like 1 full potency cron would be enough, but a full tenacity cron, like when that's the only stat rolled, that's going to be really strong and really annoying to deal with as well. The bad stats, these are stats I would normally put in the strong category or the good category. Look at the numbers. Crit damage, 15 to 25%. Previously, when we have crit damage, the level 7 to 8 bonus is 35 to 50%. So they hardcore nerfed crit damage. If you get every single crit damage roll, the best possible roll, you're looking at about 110%, I think. It's just, or maybe it's just 100%. I think you might be capped out at 100%, which is not that good. That would just be a couple rolls on our previous set. Crit damage, not looking great, especially with crit avoidance there at its normal levels. And then resistance. This is defense related to only special damage. And normally these amounts are like up to 75%, 80%, 100%. Like defense normally has been 70 to 100% on a level 7 to 8. And it's one of the most commonly complained about stats because it's overpowered in the amounts that they give it out. However, resistance, this is the top value you're going to get on a 7 to 8. So that tops out at 100% as well. It's like it's half of a defense because it's special damage. There's even way less special damage attacks out there compared to physical damage. It's like 30% of attacks. So this is just bad. I wouldn't be targeting this. I might even be re-rolling this. I probably will be re-rolling resistance and crit damage in favor of something else. But just sad that these are bad stats now. I mean, I think overall they might be moving more towards Datacron stats, getting nerfed overall. I like the high stats, but a lot of people dislike them. And then the last stat, which is ugly, like strong ugly, is deflection. Now, before you get super annoyed, deflection is not dodge. I mean, dodge was the worst. Back when they had in set 4, they had dodge and deflection. Dodge is for physical attacks, deflection is for special attacks. And everyone went for just a ton of dodge because over 70% of attacks in the game are physical damage based. Maybe it's changed since I last looked at it, but it's a vast majority of the game's attacks are physical damage, so dodge was overpowered. Deflection is still really annoying. If you're wondering, and it's not an easy thing to sift out, if you're wondering about special damage in general, I made a video on it in November 2022 that I'll link to in the description. Just an overall discussion of special damage, and except the premise of that was to get these characters and use them to help get around dodge. But now you might be like, okay, teams these characters are on might have a hard time if I'm going against a deflection team. So deflection is going to be really strong, but there can be plenty of ways to avoid it because most people deal physical damage. There are some notable weaknesses like Fennec does special damage, Cat does some special damage. So they're going to have a hard time actually connecting to their target if they have high deflection totals. So that's definitely the strongest one, strongest possibility. Tenacity has more broader use, and it's harder to just get around. But yeah, stats are decent overall. It's just these lower totals make it not that overpowered. Now to the alignment bonuses, starting with Dark Side. There's several that are in common between Light and Dark Side, most of them actually, and then there's one more unique one. So I think the best one for Dark Side is this inflicting max health damage based on debuffs, because with Dark Side, debuffs are way more common. Some examples like Lord Vader and Darth Vader are going to be amazing. Mara Jade, people like Bastille Shan Fallen, they're going to be really strong. So this is probably the one to go for overall compared to everything else. Now the unique Dark Side one is this one, and it's Inflicting Doubt. And that will be pretty good on defense, especially because on defense, your characters are going to be going below their full health. But on offense, this is something you want to avoid. You want to avoid falling below these health thresholds. I mean, I'm glad it's 90, 70, and 50, and not like 75, 50, and 25. And it does inflict undispellable doubt on someone 2 turns, so you can get a lot of doubt on there. It is really strong. I would say definitely have it more as a defensive one. This one's offensive. You can control how you're using it, and this is defensive. There's like booby traps everywhere if people are attacking you. And some specific, I'll show some specific recommendations in a little bit. The bad is when they gain a buff, recover 2% health and protection. There are buffs given out by Dark Side. I just don't think it compares to the max health damage from debuffs. And buffs are more scarce than Light Side. The 25% chance to dispel all buffs, debuffs on themselves at the start of their turn, it's just too low. It's like you can't rely on it. That's why I think it's bad. If it was a high percentage, I would probably say that's good. And then gaining crit chance. It's like a lot of characters that care about crits are close to max crit chance anyway in Relic. So I don't know. There's not tons of Dark Side characters that are damage dealers where you're like, oh, I'm not critting enough. I don't know. And then some recommendations for this damage reduction, even on offense or defense, whichever. Teams that they're fine with falling below health and it's going to happen often, like Geonosians, one character falls below full health, or below like 90% health, they equalize their health, and that's 6 characters that got under 90% health. Tons of doubt out on the other side of the field. So that could be pretty impactful. Same with Night Sisters, like you're fine with them going low on health. They revive, and you even want them to die at some point. So I think that will be particularly strong on a Geo team and a Night Sister team specifically. But overall, the best bang for your buck is the max health damage based on debuffs. So we got Light Side mechanics, starting with 2 good ones. There is one that is, I think, overpowered. The max health damage from debuffs is still good for Light Side. It's just a little less common. Some common debuff teams or that have a lot of debuffs on them. Think of Bad Batch Echo and just Bad Batch in general. Captain Rex does a lot of debuffs. What is AoE? It's like triple debuff. So that's a lot of extra damage. CLS, the team's heavy debuff. And then Dash on his AoE is a triple debuff too. So it's going to be a lot of instances of damage. And that generates a lot more turn meter on his team. Because when he's prepared and he deals damage, you gain turn meter. It's already 15 instances of damage from his AoE normally, which generates 30% turn meter. This might double that, I think. At least that's how I expect it to work. And then, yeah, like the healing for buffs, it's just in general, if you have a team where you're definitely going to be strong enough and overkill on offense, but you might lose some banners just because you don't have good protection recovery, that's what it's good for. I put Yoda in there just because he gives out a lot of buffs. Bastille Shan would also be an example. But those are pretty strong overall. The bad ones is the Dispel. I mean, it can come in handy. It's just not reliable at all. 25% is not high enough. The ugly one is the stacking crit chance, just so bad. And then the absolute best, the strongest one that I think is ugly, insane, and you should use it everywhere, especially on defense. On offense, if you think you're going to take the initiative, get the advantage, and stay ahead, you might not want it, but defense is going to be so annoying. It's kind of like the Datacrons from set 9. So whenever you reach 75%, 50%, 25% health thresholds, give protection up 50% for 2 turns, which can't be prevented. That's going to be like undispellable stuck on there. It's basically like plus 150% health. Last time we were complaining about plus 60, 75% health and protection. Just load characters up with health. This applies to anyone. Last time it didn't apply to Galactic Legends, but this is going to apply to Galactic Legends like Rey, like Leia, like JMK, and JML. Like JMK, you usually take him out last, but it is going to be so annoying. This is insanely strong. Like, I don't know. I can't overstate the impact of this level 3. It's going to be a game changer. Go for it on every single level 3 light side you possibly can, and I don't think you will regret it. So that's it for alignment bonuses. We move on to faction bonuses, starting with Empire. And if you roll Dark Side Datacron, you are going to get an Empire bonus, which is really nice for trying to target specifics you need, because all you do is get Dark Side, then you go to level 6, and then you're free to reroll to try to get the one you want with impunity. You're not worried about getting a different faction. So that part is pretty nice. So starting with the good, we have the defense to offense again, 400% to 50%. People are like, oh, show me Dark Trooper Moff Gideon working without that. It's like, well, we have the same thing again for 4 months. And this time, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon counts too. He was not getting that defense to offense boost. He will now because he's Empire, and this works for everyone now. Empire is the biggest factions in the game. You have so many. You got Lord Vader, you got Darth Vader, Palpatine, Mara Jade, Inquisitors, you got Imperial Troopers under Veers, you got Iden Versio Imperial Troopers, you got the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you have so many. You got Gar and ISC, although they're Mandalorians, I might use that bonus, but it's crazy. Empire is an amazing faction. And then the defense penetration up, offense up for 1 turn. It's just overall strong. I mean, that it's gonna increase your damage by more than 50%, probably like 75% when the defense penetration's up in there. And it's just free at the end of each turn unless you have buff immunity. So you can't go wrong with that. It's just a pretty safe bet. This one I think is interesting. It's whenever an enemy loses turn meter, Emperor allies gain protection up for 2 turns. And whenever they lose protection up, they gain 10% turn meter. So that might be interesting. I don't know where that's gonna go. Let me just finish it all out and give the recommendations. But like characters that reduce turn meter a lot, Stark, for sure. On an Imperial Trooper team, that's gonna make them pretty strong. It's more in line with keeping the turn meter train going as opposed to increasing your damage overall. I don't know if increasing the damage might be better than that. It's just, I don't know. It's an extra turn meter mechanic. Protection up gives turn meter like just by being a buff under Veers. And then losing protection up, you're getting even more. So that's going to be really hard to stop that train once it gets going. Mara Jade removes turn meter from the staggers, and then Grandma Parkin does too with his special. I don't know if that's going to marry him being in a team, but it's just a character that removes turn meter a lot. And then this one is, I think it's bad for Empire. In general, I think it's kind of overrated. It's the one where you target each other and you gain a bunch of stats each time you target. Or for the targeter and the targetee each time it happens. It was good with like Rey because she can always use Lifeblood over and over again. The only 2 that I'm really thinking target people a lot are Thrawn and Piet. Maybe you could get something working if you put them both with Lord Vader and they're both targeting Lord Vader. So you swap turns to Lord Vader, you mark him. Doesn't even happen all that often, but you're giving him a boost in a lot of areas. So that's one potential use. And then the 10% offense stacking for 2 turns. That's fine. I just don't think it's worth. It has to be during their turn, so they have to have an AoE. So like Lord Vader would stack a lot of offense for a couple turns. I think you're better off just getting the defense to offense or the offense and defense penetration up. I think they're just more impactful. There are no ugly, so no bad ugly, no strong ugly either. And that is the Empire faction. Moving on to the Mandalorian faction, you will have to roll a light side level 3 to get Mandalorian. I double checked in game. You're not going to be able to get it with Dark Side, even though there are plenty of Dark Side Mandalorians. So if you're going to use a Maul team with a Mandalorian bonus, they're not going to have a Dark Side bonus. So just something to consider. The first one I think is pretty good. It's just decent. It's not like amazing. It's granting turn meter once you give out a buff. Just something nice. Gives an extra little boost on a turn meter train. This one could situationally be pretty strong. Whenever an enemy is defeated by a Mandalorian that can't be revived, that's always useful. And this can make Maul an actual good counter to Reva again in 5v5. The problem, when I made a video on Mandalorians countering Reva, you wanted to kill with I think with a scoundrel because they could prevent revives or something. Um, there's some specific thing, but now Maul can be the one to do the finishing blow. So Maul could be working against Reva. We're honestly pretty fine against Reva now. Like Phoenix are good, but it's just situational. Like the anti-revive is always something you can use. The bad one, this is the one they put somewhere in all of them when you fall below 50% health, get cooldown reduction, and then turn meter gain. I don't think the turn meter gain is enough to make it worthwhile. And then the ugly one, the strong one, that I think is overpowered for the faction. It depends. It depends how it actually works in practice, how it's coded, but from its wording, it seems insane. Whenever a Mandalorian ally damages an enemy with an attack, that enemy was damaged during the last Mandalorian ally turn, all Mandalorian allies gain 2% offense until the end of the battle. There's no cap on that offense. It can go on forever. And just think of like a Maul team. Like a Maul team mass assisting on someone, the same character over and over again. There's going to be tons of attack. And think of Guard and ISC. Like they attack multiple times too. You're going to get, I don't know, 16, 20% offense each volley. And that keeps going. That's insane. And that ramps up their true damage for Gar and ISC. I think this one is massive. And then it's probably going to be the best on the Bo-Katan team as well. I don't know. I think that's amazing. Crazy. And then another one, which I think is also strong ugly, is this one is just overall so good for, like, from a defensive standpoint. Whenever an ally falls below 100% health, they get a bonus turn limited to one character per battle. If you're going on offense, you don't want people falling below 100% health. You want to get in a good position and stay there. But on defense, you have to take every character below 100% health. Unless you're taking them from 100 to 0 in a turn, they're going to get an extra chance to get a bonus turn, get out there and hit you. It could make Mandalorians a good defensive team. I don't know. I think it's super strong. That's crazy. I do think the extra damage is insane, but if you can't get that bonus turn for falling below 100% health is crazy on defense. And that is the Mandalorian faction. The last faction for this Datacron set is Rebel Fighters. I don't know what this icon is. This is the icon they use for Rebel Fighters. It's kind of weird. The two good ones is when the allies lose a stack of heal over time, then gain one for 2 turns. That's going to be pretty strong with Chirrut Imwe specifically, and definitely under a Saw Gerrera lead because that team is focused all around heal over time. So the more you get out there, the better. Then the turn meter gain one, it's decent. I mean, I put it there for Drogon, like just helps give that team a little bit of extra turn meter, especially if you're using another Rebel fighter in there as well, other than Drogon. Overall, there's not too much strong in this Rebel fighter faction one. I mean, it's gonna be great for Saw team, maybe a Rogue One team under Admiral Raddus, but the level 9s are more helpful for that team. Then we got that under 50% health, cooldown reduction, turn meter gain, which is insufficient. This one could be good. It's just the offense stacking for a critical hit on their turn. You'd have to have a character that has an AoE and then attacks a lot outside their turn. So the critical hits have to be on their turn, but the damage stays outside their turn. So that really only brought to mind Kyle Katarn and Rex. Most of the Phoenix aren't Rebel Fighters, it's just him. So he does his AoE, gets a bunch of critical hits, and he's doing more damage per turn in all those mass assists. Same with Kyle Katarn. He gets the AoE out, and then he's always mass assisting. So he's getting extra attacks off during that period of increased offense. So those are the only two I can think of to recommend it for overall. Otherwise, probably not that great. Even Drogon doesn't have an AoE. He has multiple hits on his like flames, so maybe it could be good there actually, and he is assisting a lot, so maybe it's fine there. The rest, like, they're not super strong. This one I think is bad ugly. Orange highlight is bad ugly. Just when Rebel fighter allies are revived, they gain protection over time for 2 turns, and then some turn meter cooldown reduction. The revives aren't all that common, and by the time you're getting to a revive, usually you're in a bad spot. So it's like very too situational, like it doesn't activate often enough for it to be good at all, and that's why it is therefore ugly. That is the Rebel Fighter faction. Now we are moving on to the level 9 character mechanics, starting with Empire, and a lot of these are so wordy, I ran out of real estate on the screen, so that's why it's laid out like this. But for the good ones, I think they're just solid. Death Trooper, Short Trooper, and Imperial Probe Droid. Death Trooper has the revive. This is like what Darth Vader had. He gains extra protection up. Or protection over time, so he's going to recover his protection, starts with full health, and it's a bonus turn. It's okay. It's nice. I think it's better if you have like an Iden Versio team, so he's coming back. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, it's definitely not what you want there. Short Trooper is reflecting damage. It's like steadfast, staunch reprisal from Gas and Conquest, just reflecting damage. Imperial Probe Droid, lose all protection, gains that much max health. And he can be revived after doing self-destruct and ignores taunt. So it's extra damage and then extra damage based on his own health. So it's okay. Probably not going to use it. It is strong for what it is, but I don't really see much of a use case. I just didn't put it in the bad category because, I don't know, I think it could matter in some way that I'm not thinking of. Bad, Director Krennic. This is a great ability. It's just for him. He's not good enough to merit making it into any team, in my opinion. Maybe if you have his Omicron, put a team together for him, but he's just bad. The strongest one, the ugly one, is Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. Summons a Dark Trooper. So you're going to have a full team of 6 and a Dark Trooper, no less. It's probably going to scale off his stats. So if you have him juiced up, that's going to be crazy good. And then not only that, him and OG Moff gain 50% defense and offense for each side of Inside on Moff Gideon's. I don't know. Is that's probably just the total between the two. So if each have 3 stacks, then they would get a 6 times 15, like a 90% bonus for each. It's overall crazy with the stats for Dark Trooper Moff Gideon and Moff Gideon. Because Moff Gideon hits hard during this. So you get this ability, then you get the defense offense level 6 probably. And then the, I don't know, the debuff extra damage one, or even the doubt one. And that's going to be a crazy good team for the next 4 months. And that is the Empire faction. Moving on, we got Mandalorian character bonuses. And spoiler, there are no bad ones here. There's no like normal bad, like milquetoast ones, and there's no ugly bad. It's all good or overpowered. First one that is good, potentially overpowered, just depends how it works in practice. It's basically when he uses Swift Takedown, the Whistling Bird's ability. He's invincible until he does it. He's immune to fear, stun, can't be defeated. So like he's gonna get his next turn and he's gonna do a lot more damage. Swift Takedown does 20% more damage for each stack of Whistling Birds had at the start of the turn. I think that's probably when he actually releases them, how many he had at that point. It could also be if he had some stacks of Whistling Birds prior to getting in the stance. I think that's less likely. But we'll see. 20% more damage for each stack. That's going to be pretty insane damage. It's going to be 400% more damage when he has a full 20 stacks. So that's going to be crazy. It's going to be quintuple damage. It's a normal 100% plus 400% quintuple. So we'll see. That could be really strong. Maybe it's still not even good. I don't know. Paz Vizsla, simple but effective. This is like the wedge one we just got rid of. Whenever another ally uses an ability, he assists, dealing 50% more damage. And he's a good character to start with, so that is going to be strong. Even if you don't have Bo-Katan Mandalore, that's going to be a great add on the team. And the Mandalorian OG, like Bounty Hunter, this will be good. Like just if you don't have a Bounty Hunter, or like a Scoundrel bonus you want for the Bounty Hunters, just some extra turn meter for him. It's not amazing. But it's pretty good. Cycles him through his team turns more. When he crits, he gives that turn meter, so it gives a little bit of a turn meter train mechanic to the bounty hunters. The next one that's just normal good, it's Grit for IG-12 and Grogu. It's all health. All his protection turns to health. And he calls allies to assist when he uses special ability. Just solid. I mean, I don't think it merits going over. If you have Bo-Katan, I don't think it merits going over her ability at all. This is ridiculous. It is so crazy. It might be it's one of the best I've ever seen, or the most overpowered I've ever seen. All allies are light side Mandos. She takes a bonus turn, can't be prevented, and a non-galactic legend enemy loses 100% protection. So that's like Mara Jade Omicron. But the kicker is whenever she uses a basic and a target is not a galactic legend and they have no protection, they're instantly defeated. And that's just not just the first turn. So it's like first turn, she gets to insta-eliminate someone as long as she's not stuck behind a taunt or they're a GL that lost all of her protection. Actually, there's a lot. So, like, if she's stuck behind a taunt, so like JML would be probably a good counter here because he's taunting. I don't. Can she get around taunt? Forgive me, not super familiar with the kit. So she does ignore taunt if you have the Omicron on the unique. So this is incentivizing people to get that Omicron, and she's gonna gain their max health and offense, 20% of it until the end of the battle. So that's insane. And then the rest of the batch, like you just get someone, get rid of their protection, use a basic with Bo-Katan, and kill them. On offense, or like if people place this on defense, it's gonna be very difficult to beat. Probably gonna need a GL or something. I think that's how it's gonna be. I just don't see it any other way. And then like her against Lord Vader, like they don't have protection anyway. Like she's just gonna insta kill Lord Vader. Like Lord Vader's not safe on defense at all. I got a hold with Lord Vader recently, but like this Datacron wipes out Lord Vader. You can kill everyone, basic on the whole team except Lord Vader, and then you kill him. Insane. I don't know if protection up changes anything. Probably not. But again, this is just so busted. And I think that's why they're having the ability come out again after this Datacron's out. They're like, okay, look at this Datacron she's going to have. Come on, get her. Spend money on her characters and unlock her. No chance I'm going to get that. And I hope it's not like another 6 months until the next one after this. But it's a crazy turnaround time on Bo-Katan. Unprecedented. And this Datacron is definitely a carrot in front of people to get them to buy her. And the last set of mechanics for this Datacron set is the level 9s for Rebel Fighters. And they're all, some of them are pretty good. It might merit Relic 5 if you want to pick them up. Jyn Erso, I think this is really strong. This is the same one Krennic has, but unlike Krennic, she's a good character. Put her under Admirata, she's immortal. She has an AoE. She's going to stack up a lot. So I'm looking forward to this one. Definitely want this one. Lots of extra damage, crit damage, defense, penetration, and offense. It's like the holy trio of damage dealing stats. Next good one, Chirrut Imwe. This is going to be amazing under Saw. If the allied leader is Rebel Fighter, Saw, Mon Mothma and Raddus are not Rebel Fighters. So this is only going to work under a Saw lead for most people. Whenever an ally gains a stack of heal over time, Chirrut and Baze gain 10% offense stacking till the end of the battle. No cap. No cap. They are going to hit so hard. This is going to be insane. There are so many heal over times. If you use that level 6 that gives heal over time, crazy. Do not underestimate this if you see it on defense. And then he also gains 5% turn meter once per turn. Whenever he uses a basic ability, Baze is called to assist. So they get jacked up on heal over time steroids, and then he takes a turn, does his basic, and Malthus comes in and does as well. It hits as well. So they're going to be crazy. Just look out. Biggs, I thought it's not that great. I mean, whenever another ally attacks during Biggs Darklighter's turn, that ally gains 25% turn meter and him. So under a Mon Mothma team, this is going to be great. I mean, and also if he gets critically hit, he gains 100% turn meter, so he's going to give out 25% turn meter to everyone. If he has a special, he's going to give out 50% turn meter to someone else because they'll assist twice. So this is going to be great from a turn meter train standpoint. You could probably even replace, I don't know, replace someone that's a normal turn meter train component. But probably you're going without like Cara Dune. I don't know. It could be pretty useful. I don't know if we'll see a lot of play in it. I'd probably use it just on offense, but yeah, lots of turn meter there. I'll probably go for it and get him to R5 just for like territory war or something. Next up is Bad Lando. It's the one where he's assisting a lot and dealing more damage. Another ally uses an ability. I just don't think it merits him going on a team. He's not good. Like, would he be good on a Leia team? I don't know. Like, does this put him up there? We have yet to see. I just don't see any real benefit to it. He is a Rebel fighter, so it could go. I mean, it's like the Wedge Cron 2. Maybe it's good. Maybe I'm just wrong on it. Like, I heard people say Wedge Cron was going to be more impactful. I never saw anything happen with it, so I don't know. I'm going to say it's bad. Ugly, the strongest one, and this is funny. There has been no reason to invest anything into Bodhi Rook for the entirety of the game. He's not a pilot. It's not required for anything. It's terrible. But this ability is crazy. If the allied leader is a Rebel fighter, think Saw probably, Whenever a rebel fighter ally gains or loses turn meter or a bonus turn, they recover that much health and protection. So if a bonus turn, full health, full protection. Whenever an enemy loses turn meter, they take 10% of the max health as true damage. Whenever Bodhi uses a basic, they lose 30% turn meter, which can't be resisted. And then if he's defeated while a rebel fighter ally is active, he revives. So the easy way to get around this is to kill him, right? But there's that revive in there. I think you could more easily counter if you just bring in someone that has revive prevention. So if you have bounty hunters, Omicron Saw, it's going to be hard to get out there on the jump, though. Maybe Mandalorians with their anti-revive mechanic. But it's just something that prevents revives is the weakness to this. Now, a lot of people are going to be getting Relic 5 Bodhi Brooks, which is funny. So they're going to get to use them for 4 months and not worry about it again. I don't know. Chirrut and this one are in direct conflict because you need to be on a Saw team. I think Chirrut might win. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of healing and stuff, but it's not reviving out their allies. So if you do take them out, he's not going to bring them back. I think Chirrut might be better, just from a practicality standpoint. But this is overall the most powerful mechanic. Just because it's going to be so annoying and so pervasive, it keeps them alive so long. And that is it for Rebel Fighters. And time for the last segment where I tell you what I think is worth re-rolling, as sometimes abilities are all bad and you don't care about re-rolling. Sometimes stats are all bad, you don't care about it, and character mechanics aren't that big of a priority. However, for this one, I'm going to say every single thing is worth re-rolling. There are great things in there and bad things, so you want to get away from the bad and get to the good. So stats, half the stats are pretty good. One of them's borderline overpowered, depending on what characters you're facing. And then all of them have elements that are way better than others in alignment abilities, faction abilities, and characters. You want to get the specific characters you want, and then faction. Some overpowered mechanics in this whole set. It's going to be a pretty strong one. I don't think it's overall overpowered, although the Bo-Katan Mandalore is definitely overpowered, like clear as day overpowered. But I don't know. We'll see. Could be. I think it's an interesting set. I'm interested to see how it plays out. There's plenty of stuff I probably didn't think of. But yeah, it's way, way better than set 12. I don't think it's as good as set 11, but it's pretty good. And anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoy this upcoming set, and go get those Datacron Stern Conquest, which I know is everyone's favorite Troy. All right, that's it, guys. See ya.